before you start doing any sort of marketing, if you will, start by asking yourself the important questions of who am I? What do I believe in? What do I care about? That really centers into the things that you care about the most and how you can show up with your marketing and with your values and what you care about and what you believe in, right? To everybody, and allows you to start doing that mass intimacy idea of start creating connections, not just selling products. Well, hello, Mikaila. It is nice to see you again. In podcast time, it has been about 2 months since we last did one together.
Yeah. Wait, who's the guest? Am I the guest or are you the guest?
No, I'm the guest.
Okay, so then
Well,
welcome back
technically-
to my to my podcast.
Thanks. We're both hosts. It's just that, we decided to do a podcast episode for the Small Business Week. Wait, is it a month?
I don't know.
Or is it a week? I don't actually know. But it's like, National or Canadian Small Business Week month thing in October. Yes,
Small businesses are being recognized.
that's right. That's
and
right.
we wanted to offer some help. And what better help than to pull from the mind of a marketing expert, which is you.
Yeah, well, that I thought it would be a very interesting thing to kind of talk about, just because I don't know, I'm passionate about it. Like, I like doing it, and I do this anyway whenever I meet people, right, or new businesses or people that are looking for marketing help. I usually just tend to give them information anyway. So I figured, why not just record it and do a podcast on it.
Yep. So we've touched on it before in one of our introductory podcast episodes.
I know. It was a while ago.
But just in case someone is out of the loop or has missed it, or maybe didn't watch the whole thing, what do you do?
Yeah. So apart from being the publisher along with you with the Villager magazine, I actually have my own marketing company. It's called Global Media Marketing. And yeah, in it, I've been doing marketing for almost 10 years. And yeah, I use that. That's actually my day job. Like, that's what I do aside from the Villager magazine. It's I run my marketing company, and yeah, that's what I do.
And I guess a lot of people, I know for me, when I think of marketing, my brain goes to social media almost immediately.
Yeah.
But what is it and why is it important?
So the way that I see marketing, and it's a little different than the way that most people see marketing, the way that people normally see marketing, or it has kind of been that way, has been geared towards about how can I sell something to someone, right? How can I put this in front of as many people as possible, which is why social media comes to mind, advertising comes to mind, all those sorts of things come to mind. But the way that I look at marketing, for me, it's the business equivalent to connection. Human connection, if you will, right, is what makes me want to spend money on your business as opposed to somebody else, because I trust you more, or I believe that you have a better solution for me than somebody else, or, that kind of stuff. So I believe that marketing is more about connection than it is about sales, if you will.
So as somebody who's first starting out, what do they need to do marketing wise to kind of get themselves going and up and running? Is there one thing over the other?
Yeah, and I think I forgot to mention why it's important, actually.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm already jumping into if it's not social media, what else?
Yeah. No, but I forgot about that. But yes. So the reason why I think social media or marketing is important is because, like I said, because it's the equivalent, or I believe is the equivalent of business, of human connection, right? The business equivalent. People trust people, and we need that in businesses as well. Like, the importance comes from the fact that I need to show up for other people, right? And yeah, I don't think that was explained well enough. I think I just lost my train of mind, my train of thought. So, what do you think marketing is important?
Well, touching on this is also based on what you've taught me over the years too, because obviously I'm in close contact. We are married. You do talk to me about marketing. And so, based on my knowledge that I've gained from you, marketing to me and why it's important is exactly what you've mentioned in terms of connection. But I think it's a way to connect on a mass level, because I can't, the way I like to connect with people is more intimate, one-on-one, but I can't do that with everybody all the time.
Yes.
And I have to actually do the work that I am helping people with. So for me, it's just that what you've mentioned before is that mass intimacy.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That you reminded me actually of it. So thank you very much for that. But yeah, that's the reason why I think it's important, is the ability to be able to bring that level of connection, right? Of trust, of just connection in general, but bring that to as many people as possible, right? And not just as many people as possible, but the right people that will actually want to connect with you. Because think about it, it's the same way as when you talk to somebody, right, that you've never met. Let's say you go to networking events or you do these kinds of things, and you're talking to someone, and it can go one of two ways. You're either going to like them or you're not going to like them, right? And if you like them, you're going to want to talk more about them. Let's go out for coffee. Let's figure out, is there a way that we can, you can help me, et cetera, et cetera. Or if you don't like them, then you just kind of, don't progress the relationship further. So it's the same way when it comes to marketing, is that you want to target your marketing to people that are more likely to want your product or to want to work with you, right? So it makes no sense for you to try and put your product or put your business in front of people that don't want what you're offering, right? Or don't want your solution. That makes no sense. So that's why you have to be a little bit more selective. And that's the beauty of the digital marketing, is that it has allowed us to be a little bit more selective. Whereas traditional marketing, if you will, radio, billboard, that sort of thing, has always been just get as many eyes as possible. And whilst that is great, it's the reason why digital marketing became the way that it became, is because granularity allows us to do mass intimacy, right? But to the right set of people is much more valuable than just doing it to as many people as possible.
Right. Yeah. And I think for me, that's what I look for, is to be able to do that, to be me. And I think as I progress as a person and as I progress in business, I want to be more myself. And so that's what I look to do anyway, personally, as I go through life. And so jumping back to the question, because I skipped over the second half of my other question. For those first starting out, what do they need marketing wise, like to get themselves going, and what does that look like?
Well, I think, funnily enough, one of the things, it goes back to how we kind of got started, because we have multiple businesses, we own multiple businesses, and I think the way that we did it, or the way that we are doing it currently, right, is the way that anybody has to start. Because most people don't have, money in the bank saved up to actually start advertising right away, or to start hiring someone to do their social media and stuff like that. So I actually believe that the best way to start, which sounds a little, it's not flashy, if you will, but start exactly where you are at. Exactly, like start by building those connections with people that are close to you, or start by asking your friends if they want to buy from you, or start by asking your friends or your family members, is there anybody that you know that wants this solution that I'm offering, or that, I'm starting a new business, let's go talk to people, let's build relationships. You got to start there first, because that's a big important part that a lot of people especially nowadays with the internet, making it so easy to create businesses.
Mhm.
You can just whip up a website with AI very quickly and just kind of get started, if you will. But without that level of trust, there's very few people that are actually going to want to buy from you. So the first thing that you actually need to have in mind is, who is it that already trusts me,
Mhm.
right? Those are the people that I want to go to first, because they are the ones that are most likely to refer me. They're the ones that are most likely to either buy from me or tell other people about it, right? Those are the ones that you want to leverage first, so that you start growing your network of trust, right? And as you start growing, as you start amassing, then you can start reinvesting into your business, maybe have a marketing budget and stuff like that. But the first thing that I would tell anybody to start is go talk to people,
Mhm.
go build connections, maybe related to your business, right? Or it may not be. It could just be random people that you meet at a party or at something. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you find people that like you. You find people that want to talk to you more. You
Mhm.
find people that trust you, so that when you have something to sell, when you actually go and tell them that I have a business, they're willing to listen to you.
Mm. That makes sense. Does that change? Does your advice change for someone who is in the fortunate position to have funds available for their startup, whether it's a loan or their own money that they're contributing?
Yeah, so it does. It definitely does, because you don't have to necessarily start from ground zero, if you will. I would call the idea of building trust and relationships slowly over time as the ground zero. That is the foundation.
Mhm.
You need that foundation. You still need that foundation, regardless whether you have money or not in the bank to actually advertise or to do any of that. But you allow yourself to actually get a head start if you have some budget to spend, right? You can build that trust, or you can you can hire someone, right, to do your advertising or to do your social media that knows how to build that trust with people. That's one of the main things that I think a lot of people don't get when they're looking for agencies. When they're looking for marketing agencies, people are always looking for, oh, does this person do my website? Does this person do my social media? Does this person do X, Y, and Z, right? Which is fine. They should do what you're asking them to do. But what a lot of people don't think about is, are these the right people to help me build trust,
Mhm.
right? To those potential clients, because they're the ones that are going to be on the front end of my business. They're the ones that are going to be putting my message out there. Do they know how I build trust? Are they willing to actually talk about it? Have they asked how I make clients, how I, who I am and how I have built this business, so that I can actually replicate that online,
Mm.
right? So I think businesses just need to be more aware of that idea of trust in general. But when you have that budget, you can actually hire the right people, as it's always, a good thing to do. You can hire the right people. You can actually spend the money on the things that you believe are important, right? If you think advertising is the right thing for your business, then advertise, right? If you think that it's actually sponsoring a lot of local events, as an example,
Mm.
do that, right? Because it builds awareness, right? But you always have to have that knowledge of awareness of what. It shouldn't just be, oh, this company exists in Aurelia or this company exists in Barrie. I know that they exist, but that doesn't mean anything to me,
Mhm.
right? It needs to be towards a purpose, and the purpose always ends up being, how can I build that trust, right? If you're sponsoring something, how can I sponsor it, or how can I advertise it within that event so that people start trusting me, even if a little bit, or
Mhm.
start knowing who I am, even a little bit, right? Because I think, and I showed this in my presentation that I did in the CDC's Lunch and Learn, right? But I have this graph that is called what was it called? The stages of human interaction.
Mm.
right? And it's something that I created after seeing a lot of people go through marketing. And for me, just kind of looking at why are people doing it this way? Why haven't anybody tried to simplify it or codify it in a way that others can understand, right? So I kind of came up with that with a very simple understanding of the stages of interaction being not knowing you, right? A complete stranger goes from not knowing you to liking you to trusting you to having a relationship with you, whether that is creating a happy customer, whether that is having a friendship, whether that is, romantic partnership. It doesn't matter what the end is. That's how we build relationships. That's how we create that sense of trust with people, right? You have to go through these steps because everybody starts as a stranger.
Right.
So in marketing, for me, is what is it that you are creating marketing wise to get somebody from not knowing you to knowing you? That's kind of almost step number one, right? And what are you doing to go from knowing you, now that I've known you enough, I know what you do, right? How do I get them to like me so that they keep sign up to my newsletter, so that they keep wanting to hear from me because I have something to say that it matters to them. And once they have said, once I have talked to them enough, I've had multiple interactions or conversations, digital conversations, if you will. They've been in my newsletter, they've done my webinars and anything like that, right? That leads them to all of a sudden start building that trust, and that this person always says something really interesting. So I'm going to go talk to them. And it's the same with us, with podcasts as an example, right? We listen to a lot of podcasts, and there's always people that are like, oh my God, this person is we're so in tune with just everything that they said, everything that how they think, how they, see things, right? That we're just in awe of them. So we try and go and find more podcasts that they have been in, or go to their website, or go see if they have courses. Esther comes to mind, right? But these people that really we have no connection over, but just through enough interactions that we're like, this person, I trust this person, right?
Yeah.
So when I need to know something about relationships, when I need to know something about, when I need to buy a course on conflict, right? I know who I'm going to talk to.
Yeah.
Right. And it's Esther Perel.
Yeah.
Because that is the right person. I trust that person. There may be plenty of other people that do the same thing, but I trust this person.
Yeah. That makes sense. So to paint that picture as a business, to make that all happen, how much should you be expecting to spend? Assuming you want to do it right. Is there a magic budget number? I don't know.
I don't know if there's an actual budget number. This question gets asked a lot, and I know it's a very common thing. But I think for me, it's more about how you use your budget. See, there's a problem that a lot of people, as soon as they have a marketing budget, they start spending on as many things as possible because they think they need to be everywhere, right? It is that trap of, if I am just everywhere, similar to putting a billboard up or just putting on the radio, being on TV. If I'm just everywhere in front of its faces, chances are I'm going to find someone that is like, hey, I like this business, or I understand what they're trying to say, or this is the one that has my problem, so I'm going to do it, which is great. It's not that it doesn't work, but most of your budget is going to be spent on people that don't care, right? That don't care about what business you are or what products you sell. So from the digital marketing point of view, that lens of the digital marketing, I always tell people that it doesn't matter if you have a small budget or a large budget. It's about focusing that budget in the things that matter. So when you are thinking of doing some marketing, right, and you have some money to spend and you're trying to figure out where to go, for me, it's about what is it that you care about? If you believe that social media is going to work for your business, it's less about how can I be in as many places as possible, right? And it's more about thinking, how can I make social media work for me? Whether it's you going to a course and learning about social media, or it's you doing this, trying a bunch of things to see if it works, or you hiring someone to do whatever, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter how necessarily you use it, but it's about the idea of you need to believe that whatever channel you're using is the right channel for you. Because if you hop around and do a little bit on social media, a little bit on Google ads, a little bit on YouTube, a little bit on radio, a little bit on local sponsors, and all these kinds of things, right? You're really not going to stand out because you can only give this much to any one thing,
Right.
right? So all the other businesses that actually have a lot more budget to spend, guess what's going to happen? They're going to outspend you. They're going to be in front of all the people that you're trying to get in front of, right? But because your budget is this big for all these little things, you're just not going to show up. You're not going to stand out.
Right.
Right.
So it's better to focus on maybe a few avenues.
Exactly. So think about, what is it that you actually care about? What is it that you actually want to do? What is it that you actually like? So if you are someone, for example, that likes to talk in front of a camera, right, that is very animated, right, or enjoys talking in front of people, as an example, well, then maybe YouTube, maybe videos, that works for you. So then start creating content or start creating things around that because you like it. Chances are you're going to keep doing it, but you believe that it's right. You believe that it's good for you, right? Because you think that you're good at it, right?
Yeah.
If you like writing, then do your website better, right? Create better copy for your landing pages, or write better copy for your advertising, because a lot of advertising actually relies on the written word, right? On copywriting. Same with your website, same with blogging, same with, all these things. If you think that you have a really nice voice, right, and you like speaking to people, maybe a podcast works for you. It doesn't matter, right? It's what is it that you like, and what can you do consistently? What would you prefer to do consistently, right? And just do that because you believe that it's the right path.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think that's helpful as someone starting out, in the beginning. But for maybe people who are a little further along in their journey that are established but want to grow and expand, however that looks to them, is marketing different for them versus somebody who's new, or do you still apply the same principles?
I apply the same principles, I think, because for me, they're principles,
Right.
right? So principles exist as the foundation of everything. So it just varies at the different levels that you are at. So when you have an established business and you have enough budget and you do this all the time and you're looking to grow, first of all, you have to understand that growth from zero looks very different than growth at, 80% of the way. Because growth from zero, as soon as you get one client, that's 100% return, right? That's 100% up in terms of signal. So you're doing fantastic. You can go from 2 to 4. That's terrific. You go from 2 clients to 10 clients, you're like, 300%, going up in
Yeah.
in that kind of stuff. It looks very different at the bottom, right? Where every little thing you do makes a huge difference. When you start getting to the top of an established business, when you've done this for a long time, when you are have a consistent budget, right, that you are spending on and have been spending on for a while, it's easy to get into a rut or thinking that I used to climb, like I used to have, like a 40% year over year growth for my business for the last like 10 years. And all of a sudden we changed, and what's happening? Like I need to do this and I need to do that. You have to also take into consideration that was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? You were at a different place. You were at a different time. Growth looks different when you are up there, right? Now you're not looking necessarily to grow at the same pace. It'd be nice, but chances are for most average businesses, you're going to start seeing that decline because it's going to flatten at some point, right? You can't keep growing forever at the
Yeah.
same rate. So it's about finding those efficiencies. That's where established businesses actually use their marketing for. Is you start then realizing, okay, I have all this data. I have done advertising, or I have done golf tournaments. I have done sponsorships, and stuff like that. And then just start looking at what is it that has been working the most. If I have done advertising, and advertising is bringing in, let's say, 60% of my new clients, right, as opposed to everything else. When I want to focus on my marketing to make it better, maybe I should focus on advertising. It's more efficient to spend my money, to spend any extra money that I'm reinvesting into the business, into advertising than it is to other channels, right? And you start separating your marketing into your established channels, the things that work, right? So every time you reinvest in this, you're going to keep seeing better returns, if you will. There's going to be a cap at some point. Same with, what I was saying, a business growth flattening over time. You are going to see a cap. The cap is different for everybody, but you have these established channels, right, for the most part, of marketing, whether that's advertising, social media, it doesn't matter. And then you have the rest of the channels with the other budget that you have, right, that you are investing little bits here and there or something like that. And that, I call them your experiment channels. Those are the ones that let's put some money here and see what signals I get. You start using your data a lot more because you just have a lot more data. So then you start seeing these experiments and be like, oh, this one actually started doing quite well. Like I only spend, let's say, I don't know, $500,000 and I got 2 clients out of it, right? Well, then maybe what happens if I put 1,000 more? Do I get double the clients? And then you start seeing like, maybe this is a good enough channel. And when you see it as a good enough channel, then you can start considering, okay, I'm going to put this in my established channels, right? And then this becomes part of my core marketing. This becomes part of the thing that as I grow more, I'm going to reinvest into these first, and then the rest into the experimental ones.
That's interesting. For a moment there, I thought you had a budget of $500,000 instead of $500 to $1,000. And I went, whoa.
Well, it depends on what you mean by established businesses, right? Established businesses, for the most part, I would consider, I guess from my point of view, businesses that have at least 5-figure budgets, if not more, of marketing, like a marketing budget, right? That is at least 5 figures or more to deal with their business. Like they could still be considered small. They could still be considered, or they could be medium. They could be large. It doesn't matter. But it's on the same ideas. You just look at efficiencies differently.
Right.
Right.
Cool. And then jumping back to the beginners, the new people, do you have any advice that you'd want to give to either a younger person who's looking to start a business or just a new entrepreneur who's maybe got a little life shift going?
I think, we talked a lot about all the different principles, I guess, right? But we talked about it in different frames. So I think my advice for somebody that is starting a new business or somebody that is young and that wants to do a new business, maybe it's about categorizing or mentioning those principles, in a concrete way so that you get that as a takeaway, so that you actually know what it is overall these entire podcast has been about. So for me, the first one is, I mentioned it before, which is start where you're at, right? Don't pretend to be bigger than you are, right? That's a common mistake that a lot of businesses get, or a lot of people make whenever they're starting a new business, is I need to look professional. And what does that mean to look professional for a lot of people? I need to wear a suit, or I need to have an automated phone line, right? Where it's only me at the business. But if I have an automated phone line, it looks like it's a corporation. Like a lot of that revolves around, I need to look like I'm a big hotshot corporation, right? Even though we may be in Aurelia with 40,000 people, I need to look like I'm already successful straight from the start, right? Says who?
Yeah.
Right? For me, it's starting exactly where you're at. And where you're at is small. Where you're at is you're in the beginning. Don't spend money on things that are unnecessary because you're going to start bleeding money really fast in business,
Yep.
right? Spend money on the things that matter. Spend money. Think about what is the thing that matters most. And usually you're either going to be spending money or time. And for a lot of new businesses, they don't have the money to spend. So you're going to have to spend a lot of time instead until you get that revenue that you can start spending on something else, right? So spend your time instead. Start where you're at, build relationships first. Look at your current family members, your current friends, that network of trust. Can you expand that network of trust around you? That's how you're going to get your first few clients. You know? The second one would be learn from the world. I touched that on a little bit on the for established businesses, but there are a lot of signals that digital marketing provides. When you put something on social media, when you put something on your website, when you put something on wherever, right, digital wise, there's analytics. A lot of people don't like looking at analytics. A lot of people don't understand analytics, which is fine, right? But spend some time to actually learn how to view them, even just the basic ones, because they're going to tell you a lot. Those are the things that's the world telling you how things are going specifically for you, right? So when you put, let's say, a new video on YouTube, right, or on social media, and it got X amount of reactions or it didn't get reactions, right? So it's about seeing that pattern as to why. Is it because I posted at a certain time, or is it because it was a certain type of post, right? Was it because it was I was talking about something that maybe was interesting for my audience, or maybe it wasn't, right? Just there's little pieces. They're all hidden. Nobody's gonna. There are no analytics that are come straight at you and be like, you're doing this wrong. You have to do this, and this in order to be successful. There is nothing like that. That doesn't exist, right? It's about learning from the world, and the world doesn't tell you. It gives you clues. It gives you hints. So it's you slowly figuring out from the data, what is the world telling me, right? Is the world telling me that maybe I should be posting at 6 p.m., right? As opposed to 9 a.m., right? Or I should be talking about this because people seem to be interested in this kind of thing, right? And et cetera, et cetera. Use data. Yeah. And for me, the last one that we sort of touched on briefly, not really, but you mentioned it as well, which is the concept of being yourself. Going back to the idea of starting where you're at, a lot of people make the mistake of trying to pretend to be a large corporation. A lot of people also make the mistake of going into business for the idea of selling, right? And not seeing it from a human empathy point of view, which is how to create that connection. So when you think about it from a connection point of view, the highest leverage point and how you're going to stand out the most is actually by being yourself. There's a lot of people, right, that have been telling you online and everywhere that talk about how you should be standing out. You should be standing out by niching down, by doing this and that, right? But for me, I see niche, the idea of niche, in multiple levels. It could be about what you do, right? I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it differently than other people in the world, which is very rare because the world is huge. There's that, or there's how you have your business, how you build that business. Maybe you have a different idea of how you're running your business that affects other people. So for example, if you believe that, let's say you have a bike store, right? You own bicycles, and you want to do this in a way that makes it so that it's easier to rent, right? Other people may be buying bicycles. Well, what if you rent? That's a different avenue of how you could do your business, right? How you adopt your business. So that's the what, the how, The last one is the why, right? If you have a purpose, if you have a direction, if you have a feeling, if you stand at, if you tell people, hey, you know what? I believe about the environment, right? I care so much about the environment that I don't own a car. I own bicycles. And I'm trying to give you one so that you make a more conscious choice of the environment. And every, I don't know, 10% of all the proceeds go to actually this trust that goes into saving climate or going to, donating for the environment or something like that, right? When you have a cause, when you have a purpose, when you believe in something, the people that believe in that too, they find it easier to trust you because I like that. I believe in that. So I trust in myself. And if I believe in the same things you believe in, chances are you are similar to me, right? Chances are we have similar values. Chances are we have similar ideas, right? So it's easier to form that level of trust. So from that perspective of being you, it's about showing up exactly as you are, right? That's how you're going to stand out. That's how you're going to create a connection. And it's a little bit kind of like woo-woo type of thing. Because you can't really, it's hard to tell people, just be yourself, right? Because if I ask you, who are you? Very few people are actually going to be able to explain that, right?
Yeah.
I know what you're thinking. I know exactly where you're going.
I will share it after you train the thought.
But very few people actually have the capacity to express who they are. Mm-hmm. So that's why I always tell people, before you start doing any sort of marketing, if you will, start by asking yourself the important questions of who am I? What do I believe in? What do I care about? Right? Because if you were able to and you make a list of all, it just has to be words, if you will. It doesn't have to be sentences or anything like that. You just write down words and then you start narrowing them down, right, into the essence of who you are. Like, what are the most important things after you have a list, right, for all those questions? Start narrowing down into what is the most important one out of all of those, right? Or the most important two, if you will. It depends how experienced you are or how much you want to add to that. But that really centers into the things that you care about the most and how you can show up with your marketing and with your values and what you care about and what you believe in, right? Mm-hmm. To everybody, and allows you to start doing that mass intimacy idea of start creating connections, not just selling products.
Yeah, I think for me, that's been the biggest shift, even just recently. And I've been in business about the same amount of time as you have. And it's taken me this long, but, narrowing down who I really am and what I value and what I'm passionate about. And then bringing it all together in terms of what I do, it's very exciting. And it makes me want to dive into it and learn about it and commit to it in a way that I felt I haven't been able to do with business in the past. Because I've had to show up, I felt I had to show up a certain way. I had to be different than who I was, so.
Yeah, because that was the idea, is that, people aren't somehow not going to like you for who you are. You need to be what the business world asks you to do, which is, I'm going to sell all the time. I'm going to pretend that I'm rich and going to travel all these places and look how great I am. You should buy from me. Yeah. Right? That's kind of the mentality, or that's kind of the idea that you need to show up as. But who actually told you that that was the right move? Who actually told you that that was the right thing to do, to not be yourself?
Yeah.
Right?
And I will share, because I laughed before when Jiun was talking about narrowing down to your essence of who you are. We've been playing the game Codenames. And if you have never played it, essentially you're on a team with somebody and you have a bunch of different words kind of in a grid shape. And your job is, your teammate will give you one word and you have to try and guess corresponding words to that clue. And you're trying to beat the other team who's also doing the same with their words, essentially. And so Jiun's clue to me today was Mikaila. And the words that Basically, and I got them all right. I guessed them right. But the words that he associated with Mikaila were sleep, cheese, and shampoo. And we laugh because I am an active sleeper. And that's putting it lightly. I used to sleep. I don't sleepwalk as much anymore. You should be very
Yeah, you don't.
thankful.
That's true.
I used to sleepwalk a lot
Yeah.
when we first met, ending up in my closet very frequently, trying to leave the room or find the light switch on the wall. And then I'd wake up and go, ah, man. And then I'd have to go back to bed. Anyway, so sleep. I talk a lot. That's me. Cheese, because I love cheese. And if we're friends on social media, I try and rein it in. But every once in a while, there's a post that I need to share that is cheese related.
Don't rein it in. Be yourself.
I love cheese. And then shampoo, because of this hair. If you're listening, you can't see it, but I have a lot of curly hair, so I use a lot of product, and that includes shampoo.
Yes. That's what I told you after you guessed all of them right. Is like, I feel like that describes like about 80% of who you are.
Yeah.
Just those 3 words.
Yeah. But one thing I'm leaning into now is I'm kind of awkward and quirky, and I've always tried to hide it and act like I'm not. But it comes out anyway, whether I want it to or not.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, be yourself.
Be yourself.
Is the point.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I also wanted to mention, because I think it is important to mention, because we've been through it, and there's a commiseration as a entrepreneur, as business people. And I think failure is a large part of what we do, and not being afraid to shift. And like you said, take analytics and information from where you're getting it, and don't be afraid to adjust as needed. And I thought it'd be fun to touch on some of the other businesses we've attempted in our history.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, you're 100% right. A lot of marketing is about failing. It's about failing enough times until you learn how not to fail.
How not to. Yeah.
That's the essence of business. That's the essence of marketing as well, right? So the people that would be marketing experts, if you will, they've just done a lot of it.
Mhm.
They have done enough that they know just by feel, just by thinking that this is probably going to work better than other things, because they have gone through it as well, right? To a certain point, or they have seen clients go through it. So yeah, in terms of us, we've always been entrepreneurial, if you will. And I don't know where we got that from, or I don't know why, particularly.
I don't know.
But we've kind of always, well, I guess you could say it from our our family.
Yeah, both families have kind of entrepreneurial backgrounds.
Yeah, like both our families have businesses, and
Yeah.
you've just kind of been in that idea. But yeah, we've owned businesses before. And for me, the one that I remember the most and how I actually got started in marketing was our toy business, right?
Yep, we had a STEM toys, or STEAM.
We added the A
We added
before
A.
it was cool.
Yeah.
Because all we could see from all these retail stores, what STEM toys, it was new. Like it was like the new
It was
fad,
yeah.
if you will, right?
Science,
Technology, engineering, math.
and math.
That was the thing of like, we're gonna do STEM toys, and people were just kind of starting to get on board with that concept of STEM toys. And we were like, well, we don't think that this captures the entire idea of what we like. We've always kind of been more artistic in that sense as well.
Like the arts too.
Yeah. So we added the A, the arts, right? Like it's not like we invented it.
No.
There was already a thing.
Yeah.
But we decided to add the A for us when starting our business, and not just rely on STEM, right? And yeah, we started an online toy store for STEAM toys for kids, right? And that's where I cut my teeth with business, like marketing, everything. We did everything ourselves. I had to build a website because we didn't have enough money to hire someone to do a website. And I don't think there were as many easy options to build websites as there are today.
No, there wasn't at the time.
So I just had to, I was staring at a blank screen and be like, I'm just going to learn how to code, I guess. I'm just going to learn how to, I'm just going to figure it out, right? And had to do that. We had to order inventory. We had to...
we spent most of our budget on inventory.
I know.
And left nothing for marketing.
We didn't know any better. So by the time that we actually launched our store, we had all these inventory like in the back, somewhere tucked around somewhere.
It was in our house. There were stacks of toys everywhere.
Everywhere. And we had a website and that was it. Literally, we knew nothing. We had nothing. Like we spent the first 3 months just looking at the website and being like, why is nobody buying? Like, what's happening here? Like, what? How do people not see this?
Yeah, good times.
Yeah. So then I started getting into learning, right, about either social media, which we did very poorly at the time as well.
We still do.
Yeah. Social media is not our thing. But yeah, into getting into that and then getting into marketing in general, like how to attract clients or how to bring people into your website and stuff like that. And I found this whole entire world called marketing, right? And it was fascinating to me because it was just so vast. And it's something that I had never heard before. Like I've heard of businesses. I heard of, like, our families come from traditional businesses, if you will. Like your dad and your nonna, they were electricians, and my dad, like, farmer, right? Like and that sort of thing. So it was a traditional business, if you will. So we started an online toy store because online is the modern thing. So we're just gonna do that. But I never knew that marketing was that complex or that convoluted. Like it was a lot.
It was a lot.
And it took me forever. I feel like it took me years to kind of learn. And I bought courses left and right, trying to figure out every little thing from, graphic design, from marketing, from advertising, social media, all these different things, because I was a blank canvas. I truly didn't know anything. Right. And I just fell in love with it. Like I fell in love with the idea. Like I preferred doing marketing than working on the business. Right. Whenever we had a sale come in, I would dread going to get the box and the tape and like doing that whole thing to ship it to someone. Yeah. Right. It was just so much work that I didn't want to do. Yeah. But I would spend days sitting in front of my computer reading about marketing. Yeah.
But that was kind of the beginning. And at the time I had just got my license in real estate as well. And so we had decided that, that business wasn't going to serve us anymore, and you would actually prefer to focus on marketing as a thing, so we let that business go, and that was the start.
Yeah, that was the start. And we made a lot of mistakes on that business, which I'm actually very grateful. Like I look at that business very fondly because I did whatever. I had no concept of any, so I would just put it out there. I would just like, I don't know, I think this sounds good, so I'm just put it on social media, see what happens. Yeah. Right. Or I would learn a little bit about advertising, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to create my own ad on Google. Right. I'm going to, and I do that. Then nothing is working. Then I pause it. I go back. I learn a little bit more, and then I go back and I turn it on with slightly different changes. Like it took me forever, but I really enjoyed the process of figuring it out. Yeah. Right. And I think that's what allowed me to kind of get a job. Actually, the first job in marketing that I got was from somebody that knew that I had built my own website, that I had, that kind of thing. And they were like, hey, we need a website too. We don't have a website. We need one. Can you come and deal with that for us? Right. And then we might open another business that would need another website. So they just basically hire me full time, kind of to do that thing. And then it just kind of went on from there.
We tried a picnic business for a summer, pop-up picnics.
During COVID,
because everyone had to stay distanced, and we had, was it Instagram? We found it somewhere in the States.
No, we found it through one of my newsletters that I used to pay for.
Oh, yeah.
For business trends.
Yeah, trends.
Yeah.
And so there were these picnic sites where all you had to do as the consumer was roll up to your site, and it could be, waterfront, it could be a beautiful, I don't know, farm or meadow, or these different locations, and this beautiful luxury kind of picnic would be ready with food, and it was a whole vibe. And we were like, hey, cottage country, we could totally do this. And then we take these risks. You'll notice, if you know us, we just try stuff.
Just try stuff.
And so we we had a bit of money and we kind of spent it on the essentials. We were smarter this time and we didn't spend all our money on like the items that we needed for the business. We partnered with local businesses like Eclectic did our food, Eclectic Cafe did our food, and Valley Croft uh,
Was the main
was
venue
the
that we
main
used.
venue
We
that
had
we
other
used.
venues, but
Yeah.
Valley Croft was the main one. They have a beautiful property
Oh,
over
it's
there.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. If you haven't been, go.
Yes.
but
Plug.
plug. But yeah, the biggest problem we had thought was that we'd be able to run this business out of the parks like Kuchaching Park and Tud Hope and our local parks of these beautiful, and really showcase the area. And the township said no.
Well, we had bought everything. Like we kind of already were kind of set to go. And then for some reason, we thought of going to the township and just be like, hey, just letting you know. I think it was something like that.
I can't even remember what it was. For some reason, we had to go through the city of Aurelia in particular and the surrounding townships. And I don't know if it was about use of the space or how it would work. But long story short, basically, you can't run businesses
out of the
parks.
Yeah, out of parks because it's like a public property or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So you can't run businesses out of that. So that was interesting, and that's how we kind of ended up looking for different, let's call it private venues, right?
Yeah.
Like Valley Croft and all these places, because we needed a place to work. But by the time that we had this business, which was interesting, by the time we had this business, we had already established businesses ourselves. Like you already were real estate and you've been doing that for many years. I had my marketing company. We did this, I feel like, because we were just excited about the idea.
Yeah.
I don't know if we were bored during COVID.
I don't know, because we had a young kid at the time.
We had a young kid at the time. Like, I don't really understand what went through our heads about
I don't know either.
going through this. But we were just like, let's just add another business for the sake of adding another one, because I don't know. And that was the thing. We thought that we could run a very lean, very mean, because we knew all of these things already, right? Like we had a network, and that's how we ended up with Eclectic for the food and Valley Croft and all these kinds of other like all the different partners, is because we had this established network of trust already, right? So it was very easy to kind of like, okay, you do this, we do that. All we have to do is like buy the table, buy like the little trinkets, the little things that they could do, and and that was it. Like it was going to be fairly easy. We're going to
it was really, we wanted to showcase local. Was the goal.
Local area. Yeah, exactly.
I just remember too, we would get fresh flowers that people could take home with them from Bass Lake Farms.
That's right. We did.
Yeah. And they were gorgeous.
I can't remember.
They were beautiful.
Yeah.
And we got to go on a tour of the farm too, and it was great.
Yeah. And we were telling everybody that was partnering with us to do the kind of thing. I was like, just put your information
Logos
there. Put your logo. Like, this is for local. This is for people that are like, it's almost like a tourism thing where because most of our clients did come from Toronto, right? And it was just like people that just wanted to have that space by themselves. And it was like, for relatively inexpensive, you got great food, you got like, local flowers, you got local venue, you got all these different things kind of going for you. And I think we even did we had as a venue, like the museum. I forget what it.
Leacock.
Leacock. Yeah, we also had that as the. But it was supposed to be a fairly easy peasy, kind of business, and I think it went pretty well. Like when we run it that summer. That's the thing. It was only a summer business.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And for something that we brought into existence out of nowhere, it did fairly well.
It did. I think we actually broke even on it.
We broke even. Exactly.
Like for the first season, we broke even, which was incredible. I think the problem, not there was really a problem, but it was, again, fitting everything in with our lives.
Yeah.
It took a lot of time to do the setup and the takedown, and it just wasn't feasible the summer after.
For us, time-wise, it didn't make sense. And not because the business didn't make sense, but our time. Like we had to hire, in order for us to continue the business, we needed to hire someone to go and deliver and put it up, take it down, that sort of thing. And we just didn't have, like, it wasn't an established enough business to actually hire someone.
Yeah.
And we didn't, and this was supposed to be a side business. So we didn't want to spend our money right, on this
Yeah.
until we saw that there was an established business potential. And yeah, we just kind of let that go
Yeah.
on that sense. But we did learn a lot from that experience as
Oh,
well.
tons. And we made connections and it was great.
Yeah, but being able to create a business just with the connections that you have and being able to learn, I guess, what it takes to create or how hard it is to create I don't know how to call it, like an event venue-ish
Yes.
sort of thing. I didn't know how much work it actually took.
Yep. The coordinating and the planning and the prepping and it's a lot.
Yeah, exactly. But now I know, right?
Now we know.
And now we can tell other people about the story and tell other people about how this is how I would do it. If I were to do it again, I would do it slightly differently.
Yeah.
And I would, that sort of thing. So that's what we like to do. And that's why we are the people that we are, I guess.
Yep. So now this is our next one, our next venture.
Yep. Now we have 2 kids.
2 kids and
more
more
businesses.
More.
But yeah. So yeah, I think that's pretty good for our episode for the small business week/month.
Week/month/ Yeah, I'm hoping it's helpful, and I'm sure it is, because sometimes it's enough to know that you're not alone and that you're on the right track, and you're not crazy in thinking that you don't want to do social media, as an example, or you're not an on-camera personality, you'd rather do something else.
Yeah.
And just to be supported in that, to
Exactly.
zig instead of zagging.
I tell people that I don't do social media. Like, I don't get my clients from social media or anything like that, right? And a lot of people look at me and they're like, you're a marketer and you don't do social media? And I was like, it's not my thing. It's not what I like to do. I prefer other aspects of marketing.
Yeah.
I don't have to be beholden to everything just because I'm in this field.
Nope.
Right? And neither should you. Work with the things that you like. If you don't like social media, don't do social media. So who says that you have to be on social media to make a business? You don't have to, right? There are plenty of businesses even to this day that aren't digital and are still a business, right?
Yep.
Still have clientele and everything. So you do you. You'll be great.